Well, welcome back to Breakfast Central to Lisa and Felicity on a Wednesday. We will be going straight to our impact conversation right about now, and it's all about security in Nigeria, where the country faces an array of challenges across the board. Now, distinguishing between these threats and understanding the socio-geographic form is essential for adopting customized solutions. Now, the President Muhammadu Buhari, he said that Nigeria is facing, quote, a state of emergency as a result of ongoing insecurity. Now, this emergency is commonly understood as the threat posed by Boko Haram in the country's northeast.
However, this understates the complexity and multi-dimensional nature of Nigeria's security challenges, which impact all of the country's regions. Now, calls have been made by traditional rulers, coalition groups, and religious leaders for the president to take urgent and immediate steps to address the security situation in the country.
Well, may have to be criticized, but basically the Buhari administration has faced recently, saying it has failed to carry out its primary duty under the Constitution to ensure security and welfare of Nigerians. But to really break this all down, we are now joined by Umar Aliyu Babangida. He's a security consultant and joined us right here on Breakfast Central. Good morning.
Good to have you join us.
Good morning.
Okay, let's begin fast. There was something that happened last night. Nigeria got a new IGP, even though it's on an acting capacity. We want your thoughts on that, and then quickly your analysis, your assessment of the current security situation in Nigeria, considering the acts of kidnapping, for ransom, banditry, and terrorism.
Well, the appointment or the resumption of a new IG is nothing new. We've had appointments and persons come and go. What remains to be seen if his appointment will bring in anything new. What am I saying? If his coming in will change anything. But basically, if you profile the situation, and we now use profiling as a backlog for projecting what is to come, we cannot but wait and see, as opposed to the usual habitual hoping. Hoping can be hopeless if the necessary changes that are expected do not come with a change in appointment. Talking about Nigeria's security challenges, that too is not new, not here at our consults. As far as 6 years back, on different media brands, I had opined that our threat genres, as many as they come, are getting bolder. They get bolder because they actually take cues from responses from the government, from responses from law enforcement agencies, to actually gauge what is possible and what is not possible on our nation space or within our nation space. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Further than 4 years ago, a traditional ruler's wife was kidnapped. That was about the first prominent kidnap or thereabouts in the country. I also opined that it was time at that moment for all traditional rulers to actually gang up and ensure that they make a statement with this very first abomination. None of that happened. So those who did it probably became bolder, and prospective perpetrators also took cue and became bolder. So many years down the line now, you can see nothing sacred about our traditional rulers by their own making. The same thing happens when security incidents occur. And rather than see that window of opportunity to make a statement, our leaders delve into the politics, the region, the ethnicity, and the religion of it. And while they're at it, the threat genre gets bolder and more confident. Older here meaning they will increase in numbers and they will go for even bigger targets. So we've seen governors being attacked. We've seen police stations being attacked. We've seen prisons being attacked. And I'm telling you, they keep getting bolder. And the longer it takes us to realize they are bolder and meet them 2 notches ahead of their boldness, the more expensive and rigorous the act will be when we decide to do so. Right. So as they say in English, a stitch in time saves 9.
Well, you just mentioned about the threat genres in Nigeria, which is a different level. We're just coming out of the Imo State attacks and the correction facilities, which looks like perhaps a new wave of threat genre to bedevil the country, just when we just had the following that announcement of a new IGP. As a security consultant, have you seen this level of threats before? But prisons now are being, attacked with so much, gunfire, fanfare?
Oh, yes. It's nothing new, as I said earlier. What we do here in my consults is we detail events as they occur. And going forward, we try to profile situations and project what is to come. Once upon a time in the Northeast,
I think
when Boko Haram decided they wanted to do was to get foot soldiers. They needed foot soldiers, but they did not have the time or the resource for recruitment. So what did they do? They started raiding correctional centers, prisons. They started hitting police stations to weaken law enforcement reactionary capacity. Now, going to prisons to release criminals is key for them, and I'll tell you how it works. The criminals that are being released become fugitives. They are fugitives because being released illegally from jail, they are on the run. So the only refuge they have is in the camps of their liberators. There you have your foot soldiers. Then with the foot soldiers, you can tactically push in, gain grounds, do whatever kidnaps you want, and gain finances. It's broadly, it's like it's hidden in broad daylight.
That's quite scary, Mr. Babangida. That's quite scary. I just want to take you to a part of the conversation. Based on what you were saying, would you agree with many civil society groups who have come up not only to criticize the president's action or lack thereof in tackling insecurity in the country, they are also asking that a state of emergency be declared? Do you think Nigeria should have a state of emergency in order for us to be able to check some of these excesses that are coming up?
Short of verbiages and pronouncements, what exactly will a state of emergency do? What did the state of emergency, which gulped so much in the Northeast, achieve? You see, this stereotype approach to insecurity is not working, and the results are on ground. If we declared a state of emergency, fine. What next? What does a state of emergency entail? Going by what we saw in the state of emergency that was declared.
Break it down for us. When you say a state of emergency, when a place is put in a state of emergency, what are some of the actions that we need to see in order for that state of emergency to help achieve the purpose for which it was called?
A state of emergency is not just a drift. A state of emergency, before it is even declared, must have a timeline. Okay. It must have direction. It must have deliverables. Nothing can be unfair as to put forces and commit them to a state of emergency when you really do not have a brief. You just call the service chiefs and say, look, I've declared a state of emergency on XYZ place. It's like giving someone a blank check and telling him, you know what, just write whatever you want on the check, but we're not giving you any assurances that there is money in the account. So basically, a state of emergency must first of all have a roadmap. To even begin to draw a roadmap, a lot of things come into play. What resources do you have available that you can commit to this? Human, material, and financial. What time frame do you have that you can commit to this? At what time must XYZ be achieved based on these resources? You sit down and you plan downward from all this. You decompose these things downward until you get to the bottom of the ladder, which is actually the declaration of the state of emergency. I do not think these things have been done. So you find our poor troops going in there for a state of emergency, and before you know it, the state of emergency is 6 months, it's renewed. 1 year, it's renewed. 1 year, 6 months. And what happens, I tell you, as someone who is not new to combat, is monotony sets in. And nothing affects a soldier like job monotony. Okay. You come, you are doing the same thing the same way, and you just recycling, and the results are not coming. Add that to all the other attendants, psychological, morale. Just you add it up, and you see that what you are getting is a full.
So where do we go from here? You've talked about the genres of threats in Nigeria. We're seeing raids now on prisons. There's attacks in the northeast, Boko Haram, banditry, kidnapping. Now in the southeast, we're having these problems too. Where do we go from here? The Nigerian state, can it really handle all this based on our security apparatuses right now?
Where we go from here is something I'm tired of talking about. For the past 10 years, on as many media brands you can mention, print and visual, I have profiled these solutions. You will do me well to just replay them. I can tell you for now that where we go from here is a function of the leadership. If the leadership is not results driven, we won't go anywhere from here. And what is results driven? You're going to set targets, you're going to put resources on ground, and then you're going to give timelines. And once you've done that, if the lead is not actually meeting your expectations, you change him. It's as simple as that. When people know that there are timelines, when people know that there are deliverables, and when people know that there are resources that have been committed to these deliverables, then you are going to see us cut losses if we have bench warmers on board. Not this about, look, as I told you, I'm tired of talking about this.
Mr. Babangida, I wouldn't want you to allow fatigue setting. It's a project that we all are invested in.
Sorry, excuse me. It's not about fatigue. If it was about fatigue, I shut my consults down. But you see, there is one thing my people say in my place. When you speak to a man who is not deaf, on, and you're not getting any responses, then two things, one of two is possible. It's either he's not interested, or you who is speaking, there's something wrong with you. So the records are there, the clips are there.
I do agree with you, Mr. Babangida.
So we move to other things. The reason I tell you is I place a premium on time. As we sit and speak, me and you, we all know how much time we've spent in this life, but we don't know how much more we have.
That's true. Mr. Babangida, now, thank you. I'm really sorry to have to interrupt, but we are a bit out of time for this segment. But we must say thank you very much for speaking up, and please do not stop.
Thank you very much. Do have a blessed day ahead.
You too.
So there you have it, security consultant Umar Aliyu Babangida joining us this morning on Breakfast Central, and he's clearly made the takeaway from this is time is really of the essence.
Also, something he said at the beginning of the conversation, he said, hoping can be hopeless if the expected changes don't come. It just struck me deeply. And he also said something else, that criminals are getting bolder. Reading the body language
look at what happened
leaders.
in most states.
Reading the body language of leaders.
Shocking.
So it's, I do understand his sentiment, to be honest. I might not have a grasp of everything that he's talking about, but I do understand the sentiment of you speaking to leadership who seem not to be taking any sort of advice from people who are in the field and know what to do. Let's hope for the best, which
yeah. Well, it all starts from the will to just put an end to all this. What's the will for the Nigerian state to really put an end to insecurity? What is it?